Hi there, welcome to the Presgrove case. I've got a very important video to share with you today in regard to party footage, the raw format of it, analysing and looking at never seen before details within the footage, at least from my perspective, and it could apply to you. On top of that, a conversation text message, never seen before, which highlights some of the times presented linked with some of the party footage. I want to combine it all together today, play to you the party clips in the original format or so. Take in mind, when we did cover it previously in the past, it was very brief and it was from the Daily Mail article as like a compilation video. Maybe some of it was edited or just the way it was styled. Is it in the exact order of timing? No, but I've just arranged it in a certain order with some screenshots which are enhanced, but naturally enhanced to make things clearer. It also adds on to the Cade and Pressy situation from his point of view, looking at the kitchen area and my point and argument being put across, limited field of view, blind spots about, seeing it from point A to point B, vice versa, and mapping it out a bit clearer now. So I've got a better understanding and an argument to put across when it comes to the missing sunglasses. Where did they end up? Just like the other items? Or could there have been a certain event that took place? And an example of that is shown within some of the party footage. So join me today as I share and analyse. On top, when it comes to Noah being written on the back, well, there's a mystery partygoer, a certain name, which has been enhanced and cleared by me as for the still screenshot, and it reveals a name never seen or heard before, which is rather interesting. Still to this day, we are learning about mystery party goers, unnamed individuals that are creeping into knowledge now. So why is that the case? Is it because they're just not relevant to the case? So, if they were there a day or two before, it doesn't really matter that much. Well, we'll go into it bit by bit, and when there's future updates and any more reveals, I'll do so. It does make you think about some of these mystery names and people. Could they creep up within the wrongful death lawsuit of the John or Jane Does? I guess time will tell. But what I do want to say as a heads up, when it comes to one of the clips, I will have to mute it. Nothing important is lost. It's just because I've got to mute it because of copyright and YouTube and music. I've got to be safe, got to protect myself. I'm sure you'll understand. And the only other thing that will be blurred or censored to some extent, which you'll probably be aware of, is the rear end of Noah Presgrove when the writing got him. Because when it was blurred, I was thinking, oh, it was probably just so far down, but no, it's pretty much all the way down. Everything's all on view. So it will be blurred out appropriately, but not completely. So you can still see the evidence and the marks and the pen marks and all of that. Just want to make it clear to you first, I've got to do it because of YouTube guidelines. I know there's some people out there that really like to push the buttons in how they appear and what they show. They might have a bit of black tape over the nipple area and they get away with it, but not everybody can get away with it, and YouTube guidelines are very inconsistent. So I just wanted to give you a little clear heads up there. In addition, I want to say welcome to those that are currently here in the live premiere. Share your thoughts and reactions in the live chat box on the right hand side of the screen. Last night's video was just as important, though it was quiet. It was rather quiet in the chat, maybe because people are busy or just because of the title of the video. If you missed out on it, it's an important summary and reflection back on what's happened from then till now, progression being made with the family, the case, legally, and so on. You'll be able to find that link and the full playlist of the case, every video. If you've missed out on any, you'll find that top right corner where the I symbol is up there. And at any point, watching and at the end, and if you're watching on catch up, be sure to leave your thoughts down below in the comment section under the video. Let me know what you think of the party footage, if you pick up on any details that I have missed out on, if you have any theories or ideas, counterpoints, questions or answers, anything whatsoever, leave your comments and thoughts down below and I can respond back to them shortly. If you do want to support my channel, There is a PayPal link down below in the comments section. Considering the way YouTube is nowadays and how they treat creators, they don't deserve that much. So if you wanted to support the channel beside super chats and super thanks via YouTube, the PayPal link is down below and the percentage cut is a lot more lenient. And there is channel membership as well. Big shout out to one individual, one person part of the cat gang, however you word it, you know who you are. Big shout out to them for their support on the channel. Much appreciated. And yeah, with that being said, without further ado, let's begin and get into it.
Punch me. I want to fucking punch.
No, shut up.
Come on.
Yeah, Shady.
Come on, Shady.
Slap his ass.
Oh! Damn. Damn.
Oh.
Which one?
Yeah, hand
We got
You
it.
see my wiener.
Country Pimp. One-on-one. Mike Tyson.
As short as those clips were, you may have not picked up on much, but when it's slowed down and screenshots are taken, there are some interesting findings, and we'll get to that shortly. But what I want to present to you on screen first of all is a conversation which has taken place amongst a member of the general public reaching out to a key individual, not directly within the case, but an individual that knows of people, right? It sounds very vague, that. I don't know too much, but what has been said is the person responding is not a party goer. And it's important to acknowledge that, because I know some people could be skeptical, but also I do understand people being cautious when they see what's mentioned here, right? So in the blue box, member of the general public. In the greyish box, it's someone that knows of people within the case, right? Just word it like that. Hopefully you can see it on screen clear enough. The conversation itself took place November 3rd, 2023 at 10:30 in the morning. Now, I don't know if that's the same exact date. I could be wrong. I know it was November 2023. I don't know about the actual day, but this was the year and the month when Jasmine Milan, not saying that it links to this, but it's when Jasmine Milan did a follow-up post on Facebook in regard to her 341 Snapchat post from the party, because obviously people were cautious and suspicious of what did Jasmine mean by, well, Noah's missing. Does she know what's happened? Is it a sinister backstory? And she was clearing up saying, no, that's not the case. We weren't anticipating what was to follow next. And that's where you saw the comment by Sarah Long defending Jasmine and also mentioning about Noah walked away from the party the night before and you found him and brought him back. So whatever that was about, I don't know, it's just the year and the month that reminded me of it. So I thought I'd just bring it up to you. Now, that image, what you see there, just a photo from the looks of it, we have seen it before. It has been documented. It's nothing game-breaking or super important, but it does at least acknowledge what's going on. I mean, I believe this is a snap because you can actually see the time in the bottom left corner of the screen. I don't know if you can see, it says 3 minutes ago. 3 minutes. Not real time, but you can tell that's why it's a snap. And basically, inside of the party house, this was the particular one. Well, actually, to be honest, it was quite important, this, I'll be honest with you. Okay, so in the background, you got like the shelving, you got the white cross on the bookshelf. That's like the perspective which Caden panned on over, facing dead on when it came to his recording at 10:50. So you can tell it's inside of the party house. In the background there, with that patterned top and reddish cap, that is Travis Monson, who was present Saturday, and Travis acknowledged that himself. So this particular photo just puts things into perspective and shows that Travis was present at the party, because for quite some time there was a bit of a mystery and uncertainty. As for Sunday and Monday onwards, well, that's been cleared up as well, because Caden Pressey in one of the Facebook Messenger conversations, Caden brought it up that Travis and Colton didn't return back Sunday or Monday, and that when it came to Saturday evening, when Travis and Colton tried returning back, they were ordered by Jack to leave, mainly because of stealing alcohol earlier or so. And also Caden mentioned that supposedly it was mentioned that Travis was creeping out the girls and making them feel uncomfortable, being very rude to them and picking them up supposedly without consent and putting them on a countertop, whatever that's all about. So it's just backstory. Travis Monson did update his Facebook profile picture September 3rd, which would be the Sunday, and the photo was of the bathroom he was in, the same one which Noah and Jack was in from the party house. But Travis Monson took that, most likely, on the Saturday, and then when he left the party and he was back at home, for example, he updated his profile picture on the Sunday. That's why some people got confused and thought, well, because his profile picture is from the party house and it was updated on the Sunday, it must mean he was there at the time as well. No. You can take a photo the day before, you can upload it the day after. Doesn't mean to say you're in the same location still, right? So that was kind of cleared up there. The person in the glasses, besides Noah holding onto his shoulder or grabbing partially onto his shoulder, that could well be maybe Logan Jernigan. See, some of the people do look quite similar because of the hair colour, some wearing glasses and whatnot. There's another guy in the background over her head. That could well be Pepe Guam. And it's only a few pixels from what you can see. It's a guess by me. It could be Pepe Guam. Game-changing, game-breaking? No, not really, because we've already seen footage of Pepe more relevant to the Monday at 2:32. On the left-hand side, kind of off camera, in a grey shirt or top, you could say, well, that's kind of similar clothing to Jasmine Milan, but as for the face, it doesn't quite look like Jasmine Milan. Could it be Stephanie Milan? I'm not too sure. If anyone can identify the girl on the left, feel free to leave a comment down below. It's just getting better understandings. I mean, not a guarantee, okay? The person on the left could well be the person that was writing on Noah's bottom, one of the mystery party goers, right? Worth taking that into mind, but I can't clearly identify who they really are. Noah Presgrove, of course, in the middle with his cap and his sunglasses. We're going to be focusing in on that to an extent later, so be sure to stick around for that. The theory to explain how they went missing, besides the baseball cap, which is also missing as well. On the right, you got Shandon, or Shandy, however you say the name, who was there only Saturday. So some of these photos are important. So like Travis in the background was only there Saturday. Shandon was only there Saturday. So two of the people tick the boxes in one photo, meaning this photo was Saturday. It's a good reference point. And the other clear reference point is whenever you see Noah Presgrove wearing beige or khaki shorts, that's likely on the Saturday. As soon as Noah was wearing black shorts, it was described as Sunday onwards. Though some people were claiming that Noah Presgrove was wearing khaki shorts and then underneath he was wearing black shorts as well. I think that can be cleared up in some of the screenshots, and we'll get to that very shortly. So we can tick things off the list. The only other thing was there's a bit of white stuff on Noah's shoulder, and likely that is whipped cream, because when it came to the footage of Jack and Noah Presgrove, I don't have it with me on the spot. It's nothing that important, but it was in the dining kitchen area. Noah was flat out on the table, topless, and whipped cream on the stomach area. Best friend Jack was using his tongue, wiggling and licking it up. Yeah, you could say it's a little bit dodgy to watch, but they're just messing about, having fun. That's the key thing, having fun, joking, laughing. not what you'd expect, as in like the outcome, what happened to Noah. When it's all laughing and joking and happy, for it to end the way it did for Noah, it's hard to believe, and harder to believe those at the party could be responsible based on the atmosphere of the evidence and footage at hand publicly. But I think that whipped cream that was on Noah's chest area was, some of it was sprayed or licked or dribbled onto the shoulder area, right? Some people said, why the glass is white? That's just a reflection shimmer. So just based on these like little details along the way, whipped cream on the shoulder, people that are within this shot signify it was a Saturday. So with the whipped cream on the shoulder and that footage of Jack licking up Noah, that too must have been on a Saturday as well, or more likely. It tells a story, it gives an order. The other thing is, and it is a bit clearer in some additional screenshots, is in the background, that's where the beer pong table is and the cups. A key event within the case and recollections of people and mentions by Caden Pressey. So as it says here, this was also posted on Snapchat story if you'd like to post. In response, general public says, was that the night at the party? In response, September 3rd at 12:18 a.m, it was one from the first night. So, you could say this is a bit of a problem. September 3rd. Okay, well, let's work backwards. September 4th. Take in mind, right, what I want to make very clearly before anyone decides to start twisting or spazzing out of nowhere. As I clearly said, the person that's giving these times and dates isn't from the party and isn't a party goer. So what they say may or may not be the truth. Take that into consideration. And if it was the truth, it turns everything upside down, okay? Just wanted to make that a very clear disclaimer immediately. So September 4th was the Monday, September 3rd, Sunday, September 2nd, the Saturday. That on screen should be Saturday, because if the person responding saying September 3rd at 12:18 a.m, it was one from the first night. I mean, it's just the way people structure their sentences and paragraphs. It's problematic at times, let's just put it that way. I know there's that clip down there, but I believe there's a response to it on the next page. In terms of when someone responds to this photo there and says, was that the night of the party? Yes or no? And the response follow-up is September 3rd, 12:18 a.m. I find that hard to believe unless they're more so referring to the photo, well, the video down here of Brylan and Mikey. He says one-on-one Mike Tyson, right? But to say it was one from the first night, if I had to try and interpret it, okay, I think this person may have got confused and mixed up. I think the response of September 3rd at 12:18 a.m, they meant to apply that to this Snapchat here of Brylan and Mikey. And then the underneath it where it says it was one from the first night, I'm guessing the meaning that one. So basically, it seems like the person responded back in the wrong order to the question provided. Sometimes that can happen through bad signal, bad Wi-Fi. You send one message first, then followed up by the second, and yet the second message appears first for the recipient, and so on. It's in the wrong order. That's how I'm interpreting it. So the one from the first night, they're probably referring to this photo, and the time of 12:18 in the morning of Sunday, it's going to be possibly that one there. Take in mind, there is another timestamp provided to that one on the next slide, and we'll get to that bit by bit. I just don't want anyone to be confused. And if anyone is confused, leave a comment down below. But from everything what we've seen, this has to be Saturday because Travis is in the footage. Shandon is in the footage, and those two people, as it's been said many, many times in the case community, they were there only Saturday and did not return back any other days afterwards. If any of this is true, that it was Sunday, then it means people are lying as to when they were there and when they were not. And that just adds more complexity to the case. But that's only if those conditions are met. So I'm still taking this as Saturday. But for the person to say it was one from the first night is making it sound like Friday never happened. But it's described as a 4-day party, okay, over the weekend, but like a 4-day long party. Friday, end of the week, people finishing work and school, whatever, getting ready to party. Maybe people taking the day off, time off. 4 days. Saturday and Sunday weekend, and then Monday, Labour Day, and Avery's birthday. So, okay, Caden Pressey has worded it on and off that he was there Friday. Who else was there Friday then? And I'm not referring to that photo in particular, but it's just whilst we're narrating over it. Who was at the party on Friday, and why doesn't anyone want to talk about it? And this particular person in this conversation that's responding back by referring to this photo as the first, the first night of the party. The first night of the party, yet it started on a Friday, the party. So what does that mean? If this is the first night of the party, it means it's also the first day of the party. But this would be a Saturday. Why is Friday being neglected? This is the second night of the party then, right? Because whether the party started Friday morning, Friday afternoon, Friday evening, Friday night, that would still be referred to as the first night of the party. And this would be regarded as the photo's second night of the party. Unless the exception is that the party started Friday, but more so past midnight going into Saturday. But that's really weird, dodgy timing that. So I want to know, why the hell is Friday constantly ignored, constantly neglected, never cleared up, never debunked, never reinforced, no one ever talks about it, not a single bit of footage or material of it, and people aren't clearly saying whether they were there or not. Why is it such a hassle? And if it's so irrelevant and not that important, then why can't a simple answer be provided? Several times now, no answers whatsoever. All we've got to work with is Caden Pressey saying, I was there on a Friday, but also saying, no, I was there Saturday. And then you've got Alicia saying, I know Caden got there almost past midnight, more so going into Sunday morning. And yet Caden in Parts in True Crime says, yeah, the events that followed on Saturday at the party were all normal and fine. Well, if what Alicia says is correct, you only just got there almost past midnight going into Sunday morning. How would you know how events went on the Saturday if you weren't there for the whole day? So it's all over the place. Absolute disaster. And to be honest, I can understand if anyone does get confused by how it's worded here. Moving on to the next slide, continuing on. The person says, this one is from September 4th at 1:51, and you can hear Noah in the background. To say this one, it must mean in response to what's just above it, hence Rylan and Mikey. Okay, so that's like a new time given. Not seen that one before. Let me just zoom in whilst I'm talking. But there's another problem, is there not? You say 1:51 in the morning. Well, there's conflict. Because about a minute earlier or a minute later, you've got this one that was taken around about the same time on the same day. Noah Presgrove can't really be in two places at once. Okay, maybe a quick snap in the bathroom and then going outside quickly to be caught on camera in the background with the audio. It does say you can hear Noah in the background. So the person who wasn't at the party but familiar or knows Noah Presgrove and his voice is able to at least identify that within this clip. Fair enough. Now, who was Noah, as in the voice, as in what was said in the background? Something like, say hello to my little wiener or something? Whether they've got a sausage in their hand, eating it, or they're talking about what's in between their legs, joking about. That could have been Noah Presgrove talking. As I said, I don't really know what his voice sounds like, but yeah, supposedly Noah Presgrove is in the background and he can be heard. So likely he's going to be outside. And this particular bit of footage where we've got better screenshots of it is the patio Porchway area. So if it's outside and Noah Presgrove can be heard, likely he's outside. Yet a minute before or a minute after, Noah Presgrove was in the bathroom area inside of the house with Jack Newton. So there's a bit of a conflict, is there not? So likely the time of 1:51 is incorrect just for that basis. But the other reason as to why it could be incorrect is when you zoom in on this snap, and I really hope you can see it, do you know where it shows 100%? That's the battery. That's like the outline of the mobile device. So when you take a screenshot of whatever's on screen, it will also screenshot the outline of your phone at the time. Wi-Fi, data, symbols, battery percentage, and also the clock. The clock says 1:51. So the argument that I want to put across, just to make it as clear as possible, at 1:51 in the morning, that's when this person took the screenshot of when retrospectively looking back at Brylan Sweat's post, which says 1 hour ago. So at 1:51 in the morning, 1 hour before that is when Brylan Sweat uploaded this particular clip on the day. So that can apply to September 4th, but more so past midnight going into September 4th, if that makes sense. So whilst the person claimed the footage was at 1:51, they've made a mistake. It's not 1:51. That's the time of when they took the screenshot. The actual timing of when the video was done by Brylan Sweat when outside of the party house was 1 hour before 1:51. So working backwards, I'm not great with timing, but that will be 12:40 onwards, 12:51 or something like that. Does that make sense? About 12:51 in the morning, September 4th. It's important to word that before people get confused. This person that gave the time clearly made an accidental mistake, and that's why it needs to be cleared up on the spot. So once again, when referring back to what you see there, that particular photo, that will be from Saturday, not September 3rd, as in Sunday. That's a mistake. And in terms of the Brylan one, that's not 1:51. It's the timing of when the person viewed the snap at 1:51, hence taking the screenshot, the outline overlay of their mobile device. It doesn't link to the timing of when the actual clip was provided or uploaded. It's similar to the Caden Pressey situation when we saw that snap by Caden on the Monday at a certain time, and then it said 7 hours ago a previous post, or like there's like a 10-hour time difference or something, and it was just about working back or forth and working out the time difference and then working out the true time of everything all occurring on the same day, but there's a gap in between. It'll make more sense when you check my previous video out on that, available on my channel. So if it's more so 12:51 in the morning, also known as 00:51, does that link anywhere within the understanding? Well, it just so happens to. Because what I've picked up on, Brylan outside with Mikey at about 12:51 a.m. in the morning, September 4th. A few minutes before that particular snap, you've got Georgia outside near to those guys on the ground. And it just so happens that I did say that that person's foot, the trouser leg, jeans, very similar to what Brylan Sweat was wearing later on in the day of Monday at, 1:05 in the morning. So you can see the order of things. So with just changing the order of screenshots in the appropriate order, when referring back to this one, you can clearly see it was posted by Caden to his mom Alicia at 12:48 in the morning, which is on the Monday. And how do we know that? Because up there it says Monday, September 4th at 12:48 a.m. And I know it might be blurry, it might be hard for people to see, but that's what it says. I can see it with my own eyes. And I think this was more so through iMessage, but it doesn't really matter. It's communication with Caden Pressey and his mom, Alicia. And Caden basically took a photo of his cousin, Georgia, who threw up after drinking too much at the party, underage drinking, let's just add that in. The patio front, Porchway area, the patio on the ground, near to the dirt area. Caden Pressey is on the left, where his Hey Dude shoes are, on the left-hand side. And as I said, I believed that was Brylan Sweat. One leg, jeans, trousers, and trainers. And you can compare that to this particular one. Brylan is on the right, who you see there as well in that particular footage, what we just saw earlier on. So that's 12:48, and then roughly 12:51, that's when Brylan and Mikey are outside, and at the time of 12:51, Caden should be outside with these guys. Now, in terms of the screenshot, what I've got, a still screenshot, you can't really see anyone in the background with the exception of maybe one person. So likely, if Georgia was throwing up around 12:48 and remained there till what, 12:59 or something, roughly, it would mean that Brylan and Mikey were outside along with Caden Pressey and Georgia, but because of the way the camera and the angle was facing, you don't see them in the background. They're actually in front of the phone, and the front-facing camera's pointed at Brylan instead. Does that make sense? 12:48 in the morning, 12:51 in the morning, and then 1:05 in the morning. This is a still screenshot from the video footage of Caden Pressey recording it. So when looking back retrospectively, Caden was outside on the patio or near to the patio area on the front at 12:48 to document Georgia. And Caden was also outside at 1:05 in the morning when recording Brylan slapping Noah. So in between that particular one of Brylan and Mikey, Caden was there as well. Through 12:48 at least to 1:05 in the morning. It's just about ticking it off the list, right? And having the footage, the photos, the videos in the correct order. Take in mind, I'm showing you the still screenshots with the exception of that one because that is a photo. That's a still screenshot from the video what you saw earlier, and that's a still screenshot from the video that you've seen previously in the past. I said I need a photo when talking over it. I can't do it with a video because the editing, it just doesn't work and the audio gets in the way, the background audio, right? So in terms of witnesses and who was out on site and outside and near the patio, there was a decent portion of people. So Avery in the background with the birthday banner girl, as well as Isaac Rojas too with his 12-gauge shotgun. Yes, there's water on the ground. It is wet, but there is also a can there, spilt, and as well back there. So when people talk about the Porchway and anywhere else in between, it could be liquid, it could be drinks, water, alcohol, and whatnot. The Porchway area, whereabout did Georgia throw up? That's unknown of. There's a used can there and one next to was that a propane canister or something? One of them could be Georgia's. Don't know where Georgia actually threw up. That would have been at 12:48 in the morning. I know people had said that, well, Caden Pressey said at 6:30 in the morning, much later on post news of Noah's death, supposedly, based on Caden's timeline. Based on Caden's timeline, 6:30, when Renee has shown up at the house and Caden's going back and forth and notices that there's a wet patch on the Porchway step just outside of the doorway. And people recently said, could that have been Georgia that threw up? and people were washing it away. Well, to be honest, if at 12:48 in the morning, 00:48 a.m., Georgia throws up on the Porchway as an example, and then what, 5-6 hours later, are you expecting a wet patch to still be there in humid temperature when it could evaporate and dry up quick? I don't think so. But other people could throw up in between. Other people could spill things in between. Other people could accidentally empty or spill the cooler, right? So it doesn't have to be down to Georgia vomiting, because that was much earlier on in the day of Monday. And when Caden saw the wet patch, it was much later on. And wetness is likely to evaporate in that space of time, and because of the weather and temperature as well. But like what I was saying back to it, Brylan Sweat is in shot of the photo by Caden pressing. How do I know that? To be honest, Caden said he took the photo. Well, Caden's shoes are there on the left. Yeah, this is taken on the side. And actually, it's closer to Brylan Sweat. So did Brylan take it? Did Brylan hold Caden's camera? Or did Caden stand facing Georgia and then held the camera to the side of him to get a certain profile or an angling? What's this, some kind of photography photo shoot or something? Yeah. But the reason why I believe that is Brylan Sweat there is because when you go back to this one, which is, 10, 15, 20 minutes later or so, 1:05 in the morning, look, same coloured trousers, jeans, same shoes or similar looking. It's nothing groundbreaking, but it just ticks things off the list and answers certain questions. So it looks like I was right with my analysis and observations, and there was a handful of people that were outside at the time. So yeah, there we go. So even though the person gave a time that got it wrong, we worked it out ourselves. Not that it's that difficult, but if it can be cleared up and progressed, that's what matters. And when referring to this one, which we said, 1:50 in the morning, that's okay. 1:05, 1:50. This one doesn't clash with this one. Even though the person said 1:51, that's incorrect. Okay, so we're in the correct order now, or so. Now, in terms of the writing, we can do a separate video on it. Brooke Bounds-Carter said that people were in the river over the course of days, constantly, back and forth. So that could have impacted the writing on Noah's chest and stomach area, possibly. Now, moving on to the next one. Yeah, we are jumping in the deep end. Take in mind it is censored, and we're taking this extremely seriously, okay? In addition, educational, right? Important, serious, and focused. YouTube guidelines all above board, okay? I'm making it as clear as possible because I just know in my life that I will be screwed over even when I'm trying to provide clarity, okay? I sense it before it happens. So hopefully this video does not get silenced by YouTube. I have appropriately blurred it out within reason, but I've still preserved the evidence, which likely most of it was blurred and completely blurred in the Daily Mail footage, hence why we're here. I do have arrows and markers and points of interest, which we'll get to bit by bit. But just know that the girl on the right is Avery Jo Howard, also known as Avery Jo Combs, the birthday girl, the 22-year-old sister Carter Combs, okay? You can tell by the face. But the person on the left, the girl on the left, unidentified, hard to tell who it is, but they were seen writing in white text or so with a marker pen, Sharpie or whatnot. And it's marked as well with the red arrow. So whatever name that says, that is likely the person that was writing it and likely a mystery party goer. So we'll break it down. We will analyse it and just make sense of what's on screen. First of all, and apologies for zooming in, but it's the only way I can show you, right? On the right-hand side, you can see that red arrow in the background. It's pointing to a very small chair. So likely, from how it looks, the outline of it all, it was taken inside of the house and probably in the lounge area, okay, when there's seating. Zooming in down here, we've got the khaki beige coloured shorts, which were specifically described as what Noah was wearing Saturday and only Saturday. Then Sunday was wearing black shorts, and Monday black shorts up to a certain point in time, right? If you add on the white shorts claim. So whenever we see Noah in the khaki beige type coloured shorts, that is a Saturday, okay? The other thing just to point out that these particular shorts have 2 pockets in the rear, one on each side of the cheek. Now, I know some people like to put their mobile phones in the back pocket. I would never do that personally. Is that because I've got a big bottom? Well, I don't know. I don't measure it. But I don't know. I just can't imagine putting things in a bottom pocket because I can imagine sitting on it or breaking it, or someone might steal it from behind. So in the Noah Presgrove case, did Noah Presgrove ever put his wallet in a back pocket at some point and someone pickpocketed him? Is that a possibility? Was Noah Presgrove ever pickpocketed at the party? Any opportunistic behaviour? The only other thing to acknowledge is there is a can. So whilst people like to say in the case people have deep pockets, I think Noah Presgrove had deep pockets to fit in a bloody full-size can, which is probably alcohol. Now, the question could be, that can, if it is alcohol, is it served from the party host, those at the party, or is this some alcohol which Noah Presgrove brought down to the party himself, as like what Jack Newton has claimed in recent time, passing it on to Caleb, and Caleb telling the People article that everybody, like in the past, would bring alcohol down by themselves and may drink it as well. So it's not all on the party host to blame for distribution and buying of alcohol. Other partygoers bring their own regardless. So is that Noah Presgrove's own personal alcohol, if it is alcohol? And if you can fit something like that in your cheek pocket, what else could you fit in there? Likely a wallet, maybe sunglasses. And it's working out on what day were certain items that went missing. When we look back now, we could say, oh, well, we're just focusing in on Monday then, when the hat, the tank top, the golf clubs, the bag, etc. went missing. But did they all go missing on the same day? Or did Noah Presgrove lose some items on the Saturday or the Sunday evening and then onwards? Not to say that they all went missing at the same time. If it's spread out, it's not as suspicious, right? So you've got to take that into consideration. Now, the pockets that Noah Presgrove had on his black shorts, I don't think there were cheek rear end pockets. There were more on the side. So there's exceptions. Yeah, the other thing what we need to acknowledge is this black thing back here, it's not blurred. They're kind of like the underpants, briefs, boxers, whatever you want to call them. I had to blur the other bits out for obvious reasons. Because of guidelines, but I wanted to keep the black bit on because it's material. And this is what people could have got confused with. At some point on the Saturday, when Noah Presgrove is moving about or so, I think someone said, oh, we can see a bit of blackness underneath the khaki shorts. They must be the black shorts. And I'm thinking, why would Noah Presgrove be wearing 2 pairs of shorts? Sounds a bit excessive. So maybe we can counter that and basically say what people thought to be black shorts were actually black underpants or black briefs or boxers. Now, I can't tell what they really are because they're kind of like rolled up. You get what I'm saying? It's like really thin material. Likely if you pulled them up properly, they would cover everything, the whole area. Unless it's like female clothing, but I don't think Noah Presgrove would be wearing like a thong or anything like that. But then again, we saw that other footage of Noah Presgrove and Jack Newton wearing female clothing, but that was probably done more as a joke and a prank. Regardless, it doesn't matter. We don't need to go that deep into what underpants he was wearing, but just because of the colour of it, it could be why people got confused and associated it with black shorts, but it's not. It's underpants, okay? Underwear. And these are the actual shorts right here, okay? What else do we need to focus on? So just to get out the way, that right there, we'll call it a mushroom Let's be friendly with YouTube. It's a mushroom, and that's all it is. But I'm sure you know exactly what it is, which basically is what would be in between the legs of a male, attached with the bells as well. It's just joking, messing about. You could call it immature behaviour. It is what it is, nothing that deep. But what we're really focusing in on is the writing. Now, on the left-hand side, and I'm not going to zoom in anymore at this moment because I think this is enough, more than enough, to register on screen. On the left, you got black writing, really scribbled. You can let me know who you think that could be. They're not exactly signatures, they're actual proper names, spelt out. First names, maybe last name or so. On the left, in black, honestly, I don't know what that reads. On the right, though, that one there, I know it's sideways, so you will have to tilt your head or tilt your monitor screen. Actually, probably not a good idea. And Donabond, don't turn your TV upside down. But just tilt your head slightly. That reads Avery, Joe, and then it would be Combs. That's how I read it. I can see it says Avery Joe Combs. And on top of that, I could identify the person writing it because it's Avery's face. If you look back at the footage, you'll be able to see it yourself. Okay? But the biggest one is on the left in that small white writing. Was it the same person that also drew that object? Who knows? But what that says is, I believe, Henry. There's a H. There's two N's. Something Henry. Female name. And, well, it will be. Take in mind, as I said, if you look back at the footage, the girl, the female on the left-hand side writing was writing the name Henry. That word, that name. So that's who they are. Just like how Avery's writing her name. But we've not heard of a Henry before, right? Another person picked up on it just recent. Instead, notice the name Henry. Okay, so maybe it's not a double N, it was actually an R. But it looked, yeah, I get that. The name Henry on the left buttocks, that's something Henry from what I'm told. So the first name blurred out because of privacy, because of, it's because, like how this person says, from what I've been told. So what you've been told may be the absolute truth. It might be a rumour. It might be limited as to who it really is in terms of the first name. So it's not worth throwing all the eggs in one basket and doing a witch hunt, because if it turns out to be wrong, it could be another person that's dragged through the mud incorrectly, like JJ Bump has. So it's got to be done with a level of control. But just know the last name is Henry because it literally says it there. That does say Henry, Henry. And it is a female that was writing it as well, but you couldn't identify the face. So why have we got insert whatever the first name is, last name Henry? Who are they? They were there Saturday because this footage is from Saturday. Did they return back? Did something Henry return back Sunday or Monday? Do they know Noah Presgrove? Are they a friend? Are they a stranger? What the hell's going on? And why have they not been talked about or mentioned before? Because they're not relevant to the case? Well, it's a shame that the name couldn't be ticked off the list, or at least their name cleared from the case, officially or unofficially, because there's a lot of us that are in the dark about this. We've never seen or heard of Henry before. You let me know in the chat. Have you heard of a Henry before? And we're not talking about a Henry Hoover strawberry. No Henry Hoovers about. No, we're talking about an actual person. The only other thing is, well, it's not much of a detail, but Avery is grabbing Noah's cheek, but that's just because of writing, It's kind of like when you're writing on an uneven, squishy surface, it can smudge it. It's hard to write. So if you spread it, I know that sounds really bad, but how else are you supposed to explain it? When you spread material, it makes it easier to write on. So if you had cloth or linen and you've got a marker pen, when you're writing on it, it bunches up. So you got to grip it, you got to tug it and hold it, pin it down, stretch it, and then you can write on it and it's easier. That's basically what Avery is doing there. And the only reason why I mention that is because there might be conspiracies, there might be weird theories and ideas that will say, well, Avery was grabbing Noah's bottom, so that must mean something then. No, it's just because when you're writing on someone's bottom, not that it happens that often, because it's squishy, the material, oh God, it's just going to bunch up, right? I said, when I analyse stuff, I do break it down bit by bit. So if any human does complain or whinge and whine, because I'm looking into the future right now, if that does happen, well, tough shit, okay? Everything needs to be broken down and documented. And when people's names are written on someone's bottom, as unusual and perplexing as that may be, the fact that we've seen a never seen before Partygoer's name revealed now, because it's clearer and it's more enhanced now, that speaks volume, right? So besides the odd person grabbing someone's cheek just to write on the person's name, the one on the left is interesting. As I said, you let me know who you think is the one below it in the black text, because it's just a complete mess to write in. I really can't tell what that is. Now, okay, there was probably a bit more writing up top, but we don't have the footage of that. But in the one when Presgrove is being slapped by Brylan, you do see like a pen mark on the left shoulder area. So there is that. You let me know if there's any more observations which you've picked up on within this particular screenshot. Leave a comment timestamp down below, or just your reaction to it all. Moving on, okay, we got that. So the mystery girl, not much about her. True. This one, Saturday, how and why? Well, Shandy is present, ticks the box. No Presgrove in the khaki beige shorts, ticks the box. These visual cues, what we have, make it easier to know when we don't have the actual time stamp of it or day. Okay? Why have I got this on screen then? And why is it circled? This is an example, a theory, a possibility of how Noah Presgrove could have lost his sunglasses. Whether this was the actual occasion when he did, or it's just an example as to how. You know, like when I said, if one item goes missing, does another one follow? If one item is attached to a missing item, do they both disappear at the same time? Well, like a mobile phone and a phone case, if the phone's in the case, when the phone goes missing, the case will too. Well, Noah Presgrove had his baseball cap on, may have, rotated it at some point. But he also had sunglasses over the baseball cap near to the ear area. Hence why it's highlighted in red. So we see that little black leg, it's the arm, if you want to call it, part of the arm, the hinge of the sunglasses, right? So they're attached more so to the hat, at least in this shot. This is whilst Shandon is winding up, ready to slap Noah across the face. Take in mind, Noah Presgrove was nonchalant at the time of when this happened. He wasn't like when it came to 1:05 in the morning of Monday, where he was asking Brylan to slap him and saying, I promise, I'm not going to retaliate. But in this particular one, Noah Presgrove wasn't quite ready for it, or wasn't that phased or bothered from the looks of it on Saturday. Just got slapped just like that. And I think it was Jack Newton on the side that was saying, hey, slap me. But Shandon was like, no, I'm going for Noah. The only other thing is, and you might not see it clearly here, there's a bit of whiteness on the nipple area. And I know, once again, but I'm making observations. And if it is white, it's probably the whipped cream. Saturday once again. So apologies about that. That's Sunday. That's Monday, Monday. You won't be able to see it there, but can I zoom in a little bit more? I can't. You look at Noah's shoulder blade, shoulder area on the far left side. There is a bit of black marker there, which wasn't washed off. But just give me a second. There we go. Whipped cream, white whipped cream. A little bit on the neck area as well. Whipped cream on the nipple as well. It probably all links back to when Noah was on the table and Jack was licking the cream off Noah's body. It just shows the order of how things supposedly went. And like when I was talking about the shorts and the pockets, there were no back pockets on Noah's black shorts, but only on the side, right? I think there's a can in there. Different to the style of pockets supposedly as seen on the khaki shorts, I believe. from how it looks visually. Unless the shorts were rotated around and they're more on the side and not on the back. But it is what it is. As I said, more so we're focusing on the sunglasses here on the hat area. When Shandon slaps Noah across the face as the camera pans around, the sunglasses disappear. Now, you won't be able to see it clearly in this particular photo. I enhanced it, increased the brightness to try and show you, but it's just difficult to do so. You would have to watch the video clip yourself back and forth. But I can tell you with confidence, when Shandon slaps Noah Presgrove across the face, the sunglasses go flying off behind him and land on the floor. They're no longer on Noah's head or hat area. They're behind him as they fly off. Now, maybe Noah Presgrove picked them up, maybe he didn't. But what I'm getting at is, was that the time of when Noah Presgrove lost his sunglasses? When he was slapped, they fell off. He was nonchalant. He wasn't that phased. He didn't realise they fell off, so he just continued on partying. Then another person may have found those sunglasses and thought, oh, are they mine? Who knows? Right? A minor item lost, a minor mistake made. Oh, they're mine, I best take them, but they're actually Noah's, but Noah didn't even know they were there. If it didn't happen at this point, it could have happened later. It's just trying to explain as to why some items could have gone missing. Maybe they weren't stolen on purpose. Maybe they weren't destroyed as evidence or as a form of foul play. Maybe they were just simply lost at the party. Another person found them and either for opportunistic behaviour, I'll take them, or mistaken identity, oh, they must be mine, so I'll put them back on. Just as a possibility only. Only other thing is, you can see the whipped cream on Noah's nipple, or at least that's how it looks, because it's pretty white in colour. But then it makes me think, that one there up top, I'm sure there was a bit of whiteness, so maybe whipped cream was everywhere on Noah's body. I mean, I'm guessing that's a Sharpie pen in white, but it looks creamy, the way it's like put on. But then again, that's a Sharpie pen on the left. Maybe it's just the quality of the pens. It's just trying to figure out what's pen marks and what's other substances, right? So yeah, that's what I think in terms of the glasses possibly being lost that way. Now, you can't quite see it, but behind Shandon there is shiny stuff on the ground. More shiny here because I've enhanced the image, so it's not as natural. But what I interpreted as a pool of water, later described by others as either planks of wood or cardboard or hardboard or polystyrene or something, which gave off the kind of illusion or effect of a raised surface as a puddle, but turned out to be another object. So it's not that deep. Separate video will refer to the person in the background and what they're sat on. When compared to Kane Pressey, don't worry about that. You've got the porchway, the steps there, where Jasmine Millan was at 3:41 and so on, and then the doorway too. Hopefully that's cleared up to some extent. Moving on. This one's interesting. So whilst we're in the party house, which Saturday once again, likely because Shandon there and was only there on a Saturday. So it kind of ticks the box. It's easier. And when I say tick the box, I mean in what qualifies what day it occurred on. And whilst earlier I said about that from a certain angle you could see the beer pong table and the cups, where you can see it even clearer here, where I've got the arrow just back there. Take in mind the image is slightly tilted the way the person was holding the camera phone at the time. That's why it looks at a weird angle. As to where exactly in the room it is, probably near to the kitchen area or so, but still within sight of Caden Pressey, because like what Caden Pressey said, at 2:42 in the morning, when he was woken up by Alicia that made a call to say that George's and them are on the way back home, 2:42, Caden said, when recalling in parts in True Crime interview, that at 2:42 he saw Jack Newton, Noah Presgrove and Jasmine Millan near the beer pong table or playing beer pong. And that appears to be the spot there. So that kind of helps explain it. And I was trying to figure out, well, where is the table exactly? Can't quite see it in shot from Caden's point of view. Well, we can see it here. So that's a good thing. But what I will say is, so there is a beer pong table, there are cups. What's that normally associated with? A party game, which normally involves drinking. Now, I don't know the rules. I've not done it, okay? I've not been to really any parties. But beside that, it's just what you associate it with. Alcohol. Okay, you might not be able to see what's within the cups and so on, but normally it'll be typically associated with alcohol. And so what's the big deal? Well, if something like this, like with the dancing and singing and whatnot, if something like this was viewed by one of the partygoers' family members, and we're not talking about those from the dark side, we're talking about those from the light side, the team, the pro Caden Pressey supporters and partygoer parents and guardians that were elsewhere but were checking on in at the party, as in Snapchat footage, to see how things were going. And those people can play innocent and say, well, you know, it's the party host to blame for the death of Noah and the alcohol. It's the party host parents to blame and the guardians of what they knew of what was going on, but they didn't stop it. They didn't report it in. But, you know, the ones that are doing the finger pointing, some of those people, parents themselves who have children, kids, teenagers, whatever you want to call it, that attended this party, and those same said adults, individuals and guardians, to some extent, may have seen footage on Snapchat, possibly such as this. And if you see a beer pong table and beer pong cups in the background, and because you're from the US and you'll normally associate it with alcohol, a drinking game, why are you not thinking, oh, alarm bells, underage drinking, alcohol present, social hosting laws being broken? Well, no one's died yet, so we're not going to call it into police. That seems to be the mentality. And then as soon as there's the death, as soon as that comes about, it's like, oh my God, outrage, outrage. Yes, we could have done something earlier. We may have witnessed alcohol present at the party or in the background of some of the shots or clips, but we didn't act on it at the time because no one died. But because someone has died now, it is a problem, and social hosting is now important and needs to be justice. But yes, we could have stopped it earlier on, but we didn't for certain reasons. But now there is a reason to go about it. But whilst we could have stopped it, other people are to blame, and only them. Oh no. That's the mentality. Okay? Simple as, if social hosting laws are being broken, deaf or not, and you stay true to those words and stick with it, rules are rules, stick with it, don't pick and choose when and when not, when it comes to a death and when it doesn't. Because any other time, it may or may not. It's a 50-50, you could call it. So, that's just to put it in perspective for some out there that like to call out particular people in the case or those associated to those within the case. It's not just one person that could be blamed for not stopping it when they knew what was going on and alcohol being present. There's other spectators, okay? Spectators from the light side, spectators in general. Am I saying exactly who? No, because what good does that do? But those that know will know. And that's pretty much it. So just one image with a few cups in the background can tell up many stories and give many counterpoints, right? Moving on. This one's interesting because from the angling of it, it shows the kitchen layout. A layout which we've not really seen clearly before. So back there, you've got like an oven from the looks of it, or it could be a fridge. Then behind Noah, over his shoulder, you've got like a big cabinet area, which is wood and glass. Nice kitchen layout, pretty big in size. In terms of what angle it's from, we'll get to that shortly, or we'll get to it right away. So you've got the Christmas tree in the background. This is at 10:50 p.m. Sunday night at the party. Caden Pressey sat down in the lounge area looking towards the kitchen. I said about a blind spot. You got the ceiling arc or outline of the different rooms, but open plan, all. And the arc of it as it goes down, where the wall is, which is off screen, besides... can you see the ceiling as it goes down and around? Around that bend, you've got Jasmine, you've got Stephanie and Stephanie's boyfriend, but the kind of off camera, like a blind spot. The kitchen area, there's a bit of depth to it. And with that depth and a blind spot, what Caden sees here, he may have not seen Noah, who may have been in the kitchen at the time, on the Monday later on when being fed by Carter. That is only a suggestion. But in terms of getting the different angles more now than ever, that red arrow, what you're seeing there, just beside on the left of Breeley, you see that cabinet, that big cabinet or cupboard? Well, that is what you see there over Noah's shoulder. So you get the idea of it being the same location and, you know, the layout plan of it. There's a bit of depth. And you see where that... Oh, how do I do it? Can you see that white thing? That's a white wall that goes up from, looks at it, dividing the room. You see it off camera there as it comes down on the arch. So as it bends around into the kitchen area, you got the cabinets, you got the countertop back there, you got the cupboards up there, you got the fridge or the oven, which you can't see whatsoever from here because it bends around the side of the wall, meaning there's a blind spot. And if there's a blind spot, it means someone could be around there or stood in the kitchen, which Caden can't see when he was stood up at 2:42 looking about, or when it was at 3:20, more so at 3:20 when Caden said, just before going back to sleep at 3:20 or 3:24, he couldn't see Noah. He just assumed that Noah was still present. Maybe Noah was still present lightly, but just in a different room. Maybe in the open plan room, but round the side of the wall, so you couldn't see him, right? So the perception could be blocked. Noah could be there in the same room or nearby, but Caden just can't see. It's just a suggestion. We get different angles, and I think that's important. And this as well. Once again, kitchen area, you can see the depth of it. Look how deep it goes into the kitchen, which you can't see from this angle. This is exactly what I was saying, right? You got the fridge or the bloody oven, whatever you want to call it. The countertop, which is quite long, goes deep in. Back there, you've got, I guess, the main part of the kitchen or the dining table or some kind of table or countertop. Behind Presgrove, there's some kind of chair from the looks of it. Round that area, like an island effect centered in the middle of the kitchen or so, is probably what you see where those people are back there. Jasmine, Milan, Stephanie, and Stephanie's boyfriend all settled down, sitting about, like what you see back there behind those. And that's probably the same area where Noah Presgrove was flat out across the table, topless, and getting licked up by Jack Newton with the whipped cream. So it's like all being tied together now. This is all that needed to be done in the past, but just didn't really have the time or didn't think of doing it all in one go. So this is really important. And once again, possibly, not with absolute confidence, but I've not really seen a follow-up. I'm still thinking that this could well be from the same party house based on the material, the cupboards, the countertops. Could be wrong. But then you got the middle section island of the table, which could well be the table what you see back there. It's possible. Not with absolute certainty, but possible. Not from the party itself, but from the same house at least. It's just getting the different angles of these rooms and layouts to try and figure out who was where was what, and what did Caden see compared to what he didn't see, what he was able to, what he just wasn't possible to see, and so on. And then moving on to this. So this is linking back to the 12:51 in the morning of Monday or so. Brylan Sweat with Mikey saying one-on-one. That's all fine. Why did I mark this out? Well, basically, this is like what I was saying. This is like around the time of when Georgia's already thrown up, Caden Presley's outside, maybe Isaac and Avery shortly comes out after this, but you don't really see anyone. And to be honest, facing back that way appears to be facing, you know, if you look behind Brylan heading off into the distance, I believe that's probably facing east. And what we really want is to be looking west, I think, northeast. We want to be looking west, the direction which Brylan is facing. And that's likely where Georgia is on the porchway on the ground after throwing up, right? That's why you can't see them on screen here, because the camera's facing the wrong way, which is very unfortunate. And why would I say that as well? How do I know that we're facing east? Well, you got that like ride-on mower in the background, which was actually at the other end of the patio in some of the other footage. But the other reason, or at least my interpretation, is where the other marker is on the left. I know it's very, very, very blurry, but that is the front porchway area where the door is too. And if you was associating it with different directions, that has got to be, when looking down that way, the porch patio, it has to be east, because if it was west, you would have seen the barn, the shed in the background, and you don't there, do you? So that's my interpretation. All in all, hopefully this video does remain up. Make sure to document or do whatever that's needed, just in case YouTube tries to censor or take me down. Why would they do that? Well, as you know, anything is possible. Like when it came to the Alicia, the JJ phone number, it was all public, above board, and consent given amongst the parties and whatnot. They did it themselves. They were okay with it. YouTube automatically deleted the video, screwed me over. Let's hope it doesn't happen here. Everything all above board. Things are censored appropriately, and it is an educational video. I'm saying that with absolute seriousness, okay? So if you found the video somewhat interesting, if it did help, feel free to hit the like button, thumbs up, and make sure to share the video so more people get to see it. Full playlist of the case and coverage, top right corner. Feel free to leave your comments below in the comment section, and we'll see what happens next. My name's Wallach Raff. Goodbye for now.